During the show-making process, a pilot is created to pitch a respective show to the network. Many pilots picked up could just be episodes from the show with very slight differences, or these pilots could have a whole host of differences. Either way, many pilots are unreleased or what we would call lost media. So today, I'll be talking about 6 more lost pilot episodes, as this is an indirect sequel to my video from 2021 called 5 Lost Pilot Episodes. So with all that being said, let's start this thing. 64 Tulane is a children's show that ran from 1999 through 2003, as well as 2010 through 2013, and was created by Anne Rombout, and is about a 7-year-old girl named Lucy, who lives next to a zoo where the animals tell her stories every night when she visits them. In 1993, production started on a pilot for the show, and was completed a year later in 1994. The pilot was shown at the cartoon form in the Azores in 1994. Despite this, all of the pilot is lost. No stills, no footage, nothing, not even anything from the screening at the Azores, and it will most likely remain like this for a pretty long time. Danger Mouse was a show that aired from 1981 through 1992 and ran on ITV in the UK. A few years prior to the show's debut, 2 pilot episodes were created for the show around 1979 through 1980. The first pilot was called The Mystery of the Lost Chord and was released many years ago. However, the second pilot, called The Great Bone Idol, was never released. A release for the pilot was planned for DVD, but was canned for unknown reasons, and instead The Mystery of the Lost Chord was released on DVD. Over the years, a few stills from the pilot have surfaced, and it is believed an animation cell was used in the second pilot. All that is publicly available for the pilot are only a few stills. Green Monkeys is a show pitched by Betty and Michael Perescavez to Disney in the late 1990s. The show would have been about 2 monkeys named Spider and Flytrap, who are taken from the jungle to run a temp agency in the Lower East Side of New York City. After becoming dissatisfied with the development of the series, Disney would hire Spumco to rework parts of the project, and a pilot would be created in 1999, which was directed by Gabe Swar. However, Disney would ultimately scrap the show for unknown reasons. The pilot in its entirety is lost, and the closest that we will most likely get to a Green Monkey show is the concept of the show being reworked into comics by Betty and Michael, and all that remains of the show are a few character sketches, and it will most likely remain like that. Back at the Barnyard is a spin-off show of the 2006 Paramount movie titled Barnyard, and in 2000 a pitch pilot for the show was produced by DNA Productions for Stephen Odenkirk's O Entertainment. The pilot was never released, with around 1 minute of footage being included in the 2005 advertisement for the 2006 movie, with the tagline, "What animals do when humans aren't looking." Screenshots of the pilot are available on a backed up version of DNA's website. However, in a Twitter thread with director of the show Todd Grimes, he confirmed that this actually was not a pilot. It was much more of a pitch. So yeah, I kinda misled y'all, but I had to include this one as it's pretty obscure. And all that remains of this pitch is the previously mentioned 2005 trailer and the screenshots from the DNA website. Junction was a children's show that aired from 2009 through 2012, which was produced by Spider Eye Productions. However, before its initial debut in 2009, the show was practically in production hell, as not 1, not 2, but 3 pilot episodes were made for this show. The concept for the show started when show creator Trevor Ricketts saw a commercial in his childhood for Dunlop tires, which featured a groundhog on wheels. Trevor would start to create 2D concept art for the show on paper and pen. However, after his colleagues at Spider Eye Studios found out about this concept art, they loved it and created the first 6-minute pilot in 3D for the show. The pilot was pitched to multiple broadcasters without success, and after 2 years of unsuccessfully pitching the show, a new pilot was made in 2005 to give it a new fresh coat of paint. After pitching the second pilot to several networks in Europe, Disney would take interest in the pilot and would commission a third pilot that would be created in 2008. This third pilot would have a test screening with an audience of preschoolers, which would go well and would help the show get picked up by Disney. Apparently, the third pilot aired once on Playhouse Disney. However, no screen caps or recordings have resurfaced for this, and all that is publicly available for these pilots is an early design for one of the characters. Angry Kid is a live-action stop-motion web series which was created by Darren Walsh and has run for 4 series. However, just like every other show on this list, this show had a pilot that went unreleased. The pilot really isn't that special, it's more so just the segment Blood Juice with minor differences, the most notable thing being the voice actor of the dad being different. I included this as an honorable mention due to the general lack of information on this topic, as the main source of information for this topic is the Lost Media Archive, which is well known for being pretty unreliable. But this is true. But it's not really anything impressive, but I thought it was something to know as a little honorable mention, as I haven't had an honorable mention on this channel since like the 3rd video. Big Beast Quintet was a pilot that was made in 1990, and it was created by Japhet Asher and George Evelyn. Japhet Asher wrote the pilot and George Evelyn directed the pilot. The plot of the pilot follows the Big Beast Quintet, who live in the city of Animatropolis as news reporters for Channel Zero, and had a boss named Nero Zero, who had a nice mean switch in his head controlled by his assistant Bombat, who sends him to the Ice Cube Island to do a story on Abominably Animated Man. The pilot was one of 8 pilots commissioned by Nickelodeon for a contest in which 4 of these pilots would become fully fledged shows, but only 3 of these pilots would ultimately be picked up, being that of Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy. As you can tell, Big Beast Quintet wasn't one of these, due to the pilot testing pretty poorly, as it was given that children would not be able to relate to having a mean boss. The pilot was at some point reworked with the name Channel Zero, but this version was also never publicly released. The original Big Beast Quintet pilot was never publicly released, except one time in which Linda Simsky showed a copy of it in an animation studies conference in Greensboro, North Carolina, alongside several other Nickelodeon pilots that were never picked up. On August 9th of 2018, when asked about the pilot, Japhet Asher would state that he may own a VHS copy of it somewhere, but he would also state that George Evelyn would most likely possess a higher quality version of the pilot. Even 23 years after the pilot's creation, no footage, no concept art, and no stills are known to exist anywhere of the pilot. And the closest we have to this pilot right now is actually this famous Nickelodeon bumper, which you may have seen, that features the cast of Big Beast Quintet.